Chosen one, God is speechless right now because of you. I know how that sounds. I know the weight of those words might feel too large to hold, especially when you are already carrying what you have been carrying. But I am not here to give you 30 seconds of warmth that disappears the moment you put this down. There is a kind of silence that is abandonment, and there is a kind of silence that is awe. What God holds in this moment, as He looks at you, as He looks at what you have just done, is the second kind. You have walked through something most people do not survive intact. Not just in the circumstances on the outside, though those have been hard enough. I am talking about the war on the inside, the one no one else has seen, the slow, exhausting daily choice to remain open when everything in you wanted to close, to remain soft when every single thing you went through was telling you to harden, to remain faithful when the evidence had completely stopped cooperating. You chose to stay, and that staying moved the heart of God. Before I go further, I want to tell you what is waiting for you in this message if you stay to the end. I am going to name, specifically, exactly what you did that stopped heaven, not in general terms. 3 specific acts. And before this message closes, I am going to speak something over your life that I believe you will carry long after today. There is also something I want to show you about your own mind and your own brain that explains why this season has felt the way it has, and what is available to you right now that most people in your position never discover. Stay with me. It matters. Now, let me start where I believe everything begins. There is a season that comes before every transformation worth having. It does not feel like transformation from the inside. It feels like waiting. It feels like delay. It feels like you have somehow been left behind in a place where everyone else seems to be moving forward while you remain exactly where you were. But I want to ask you something before I go further. Have you noticed the shifts happening inside you? Not outside, inside. The way certain conversations that used to feel normal now leave you drained, as if something in you has quietly outgrown the space those conversations create. The way you have become more sensitive, not in a fragile way, but in the way a compass becomes more sensitive as it approaches true north. The way you feel things more deeply now, notice things faster, sense when something is off in a room before anyone says a single word. The way your tolerance for noise, for shallow things, for pretending everything is fine, has dropped to almost nothing without you ever consciously deciding it would. That is not something going wrong in you. That is a chosen one in active formation. There are vivid dreams pulling at the edges of your sleep, aren't there? Moments where you wake up and what happened in the dream felt more real than the ceiling above you. And there is a quiet knowing that has been growing, a sense of standing at the edge of something enormous, even though the outer landscape of your life has not given you the proof yet. You are not imagining any of it. You are in the wilderness, and the wilderness has a purpose most people never fully understand. 3 things happen to you inside the wilderness that cannot happen anywhere else. The first is this: you learn to carry weight that other people simply cannot. In ordinary seasons, when life flows easily, we build strength for the surface. But in the wilderness, the weight goes deeper, and so the strength that forms goes deeper too. There is a level of endurance that can only be forged in silence, in waiting, in the kind of pressure that strips away every comfort. And that endurance is not just for you. It is going to become the reason someone else does not collapse. You are being formed into something that can hold what others need held. The second thing that forms in the wilderness is a discernment that prosperity simply cannot teach. When things are going well, every door looks good, every voice sounds right, every option seems worth following. But when the noise falls away, and it is just you and the silence, you begin to learn the difference between what is truly for you and what was simply loud. That discernment is going to protect you from things in your future that you cannot see yet. It is protection wearing the disguise of a hard season. The third thing, and I think the most important, you become, in the wilderness, the kind of person who can sustain what is coming. People focus on what they want to receive. They rarely think about whether they have the inner foundation to hold it without it destroying them. The wilderness is building that foundation. It is not delaying your blessing. It is making you capable of not being undone by it. David understood this. He was anointed as king by the prophet Samuel while he was still a teenager out in the fields with his father's sheep. The oil was on his head. The calling was established. And then he went back to the field, not to the palace, back to the sheep, to the ordinary days, to the invisible labor, to the long years where nothing outside matched the promise inside. And in those years, in that silence, something was happening that could not have happened in the palace. His character was being shaped where no one was watching. His courage was being tested with lions and bears long before Goliath ever appeared. His intimacy with God was being deepened in the hours when there was no audience, no applause, just a young man and his God under an open sky. In the original Hebrew, there is a word for what God was doing in those years. The word is Selah. Most know it from the Psalms as a kind of pause in the music, but Selah means more than a pause. It means to stop, to consider fully, to lift up with complete attention, to honor what is unfolding in the quiet. God was not absent from David's wilderness years. God was saying Selah over his life. He has been saying Selah over yours. Every invisible moment of faithfulness, every night you chose to hold on instead of letting go, every morning you got up again even though nothing outside had changed, every small private decision to stay true to what you know you are called to, even with no confirming wind at your back. Selah. Heaven has been watching every moment of it with full, undivided attention. And here is where I need you to receive something. What felt like isolation was actually incubation. What felt like silence was actually strategy. What felt like being overlooked was actually protection from things you were not yet equipped to handle. What felt like delay was actually the invisible construction of a foundation strong enough to carry what is about to come. Not one moment was wasted, not one night, not one prayer that felt like it stopped at the ceiling. I want you to see yourself the way I believe the spiritual realm sees you right now. A seed buried in the dark, not visible yet, not impressive from the outside, looking to everything above the ground like nothing is happening. But underneath, in the invisible space, in the silence that people mistake for absence, everything is happening. Root systems forming that will one day anchor something so strong that other things can find shelter in its shade. That is you. That is what this season has been. But I need to tell you something. What I have shared with you so far, as significant as it is not the rarest part. The wilderness, as a place of formation, that is known. The presence of God in the silence, many people understand that. What I want to show you next goes deeper, because there is a reason, not just spiritual but written into the science of how you were made, why this season has felt the way it has for you specifically, as someone built to carry something beyond the ordinary. Stay with me. Chosen one, there is a reason the wilderness has felt heavier for you than it might for someone else. Not because your faith is smaller, not because you are weaker, because of what you were built with from the very beginning. When you were young, before the world got its hands on you, before the structure of school and the pressure of adult life and the constant demand to perform and conform and produce, you had something that most people do not realize they ever possessed. Scientists at institutions like MIT, Harvard, and Stanford have studied what they call gamma brainwave activity. The gamma wave is the highest frequency the human brain produces. It is the wave associated with heightened intuition, accelerated learning, deep spiritual sensitivity, creative flow, and what researchers describe as synchronicity states, those moments when the right thing shows up at exactly the right time, in a way that cannot quite be explained by ordinary logic. Children carry it in abundance. That is why children learn so fast. That is why they sense things adults have learned to stop noticing. That is why everything, to a very young child, carries a kind of wonder that older people have to work hard to recover. But something happens. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying what he and his colleagues call the decline effect. Beginning around the age of 7, the pressures of modern life, the way conventional education is structured, the expectations to sit still, to produce measurable outcomes, to stop asking the questions that do not have simple answers, all of it begins to suppress gamma activity in the brain. It does not disappear, it goes dormant, and as it quiets, something that once felt entirely natural begins to feel out of reach. The flow states grow rarer. The intuition becomes harder to access. The sense that everything is connected and purposeful fades under the noise of daily survival. For most people, that is simply what they call growing up. But here is what I need you to understand, chosen one. You are not like most people to begin with. The gamma activity you came into this world with was not average. The sensitivity you had as a child, the way you sensed things others missed, the ease with which you grasped certain things that confused the people around you, the way you felt life more deeply than others seemed to, that was not imagination. That was gamma. That was a God-given frequency running at a higher level than the baseline, and it is precisely why, when the decline effect suppressed it, the loss you felt was so much more profound. The gap between who you remember being and who you feel like you are right now, that distance you have been trying to name and could not quite name, is real. And it has an explanation. It is the distance of dormant gamma. Think about Joseph, thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned for something he did not do. Year after year of circumstances that made no sense against the promise placed over his life. But here is what gets missed in the telling. Joseph never lost access to what was inside him. In every environment they placed him in, the gift kept rising to the surface. The quality of his perception, the accuracy of his insight, the depth of his wisdom, none of it decayed in the pit. It was being preserved in the dark, maintained through the silence, held intact for the moment when it would be needed at a scale nothing else could have prepared him for. In the original Hebrew, the word for what God does with everything that was taken, the full restoration of it, is shalom. And shalom does not mean to simply get back what was lost. Shalom means to be made complete, to be paid in full, with interest, not returned to zero, overpaid for every day of the waiting. God is not just restoring what the years suppressed. He is settling a debt with interest. Now, let me tell you something that I believe is directly relevant to you and to this season you are in. The conventional approaches to reactivating gamma brainwave activity have historically required either a biofeedback device. The professional-grade equipment runs around $7,000, or years of sustained daily meditation before most people report meaningful results. Both require significant time, money, or both. For most people, the access simply was not there. Dr. Robert Lake spent years compressing the science of what is called brain entrainment into a 7-minute audio track that any person can use at home with a pair of earbuds. Brain entrainment works by using specific sound frequencies to guide the brain gently back toward its natural gamma activity, not by forcing anything, not by adding anything synthetic, by creating the acoustic conditions under which what was always there can begin to surface again. It is called the Genius Song. The standard price for this track is $49, which is already a fraction of every traditional alternative. But for those who find it through the pinned comment in this video, the access price is $39. That price is not available on Amazon. It is not available through any search result. It exists only through the link in the pinned comment, because that is where the full technology, the complete money-back guarantee, and the 4 accompanying resources are held. Those 4 resources include an audio track designed specifically for children's focus and confidence, the foundational text that inspired the film The Secret, a guided visualization covering finances, relationships, health, and purpose, and a practical infographic on the 5 habits most linked to building a meaningful future. All of it included at $39. And if you listen and feel nothing different, the guarantee is complete. Every dollar returned, no conditions. I want to say something plainly here. There are imitation products circulating online that carry names similar to this one. They do not contain the brain entrainment technology. They are ordinary audio dressed in borrowed language. The only source for the actual product, with the verified science and the full guarantee, is the link in the pinned comment. I say this not as a sales instruction. I say it as protection for someone who is already being too careful with what they have. If something in you is leaning toward it, the information is in the pinned comment below. Only investigate it if you feel genuinely led. Now here is something you can apply right now, regardless of anything else. I call it the frequency audit, and it is simple enough that it requires nothing except your honest attention over the next 24 hours. Begin to notice 2 things. The first is what drains you, not just what is uncomfortable or inconvenient, but what actually pulls something vital out of you when you engage with it. The conversations that leave you smaller, the inputs that leave you heavier, the environments where something in you quietly dims. The second thing to notice is what restores you. What, even inside this season, even inside this weight, still manages to leave you feeling like yourself when it is over, even briefly, even imperfectly. Those 2 lists are not random. They are a map. They are showing you, with more precision than almost any method I know, what is aligned with your frequency and what is in conflict with it. And as you begin, even in small ways, to protect the things that restore and reduce the things that drain, you are doing something real. You are beginning the work of recalibration. You are starting to come back to yourself. If you receive what I just shared as something true for your life, type 777 inches, the comments right now, not as a ritual, as a declaration that you are a chosen one, waking back up to the frequency you were born carrying. Because what comes next in this message is the moment I have been building toward since the very beginning. I am going to name exactly what you did that stopped heaven, not in general. Specifically, 3 acts, with precision, and when you hear it named, something in you is going to recognize it immediately. Stay with me. I told you at the very beginning of this message that I was building towards something specific, that every piece of it, the wilderness, the formation, the science of what was suppressed in you, all of it was pointing toward one central truth. I want to get there now, but before I do, let me make you a promise. Before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life, not in general terms. Specifically, for where you are right now and what you have been carrying. That moment is coming. Stay with me all the way through to receive it. But right now, let me do what I have been holding back since the very first word of this message. Let me name exactly what you did. The first rare act. You remained faithful in the invisible. I am not talking about the moments when someone was watching, not the testimony you were eventually able to share, not the day someone caught a glimpse of your strength and said something about it. I am talking about the moments with no audience at all. The 2M when no one in the world knew you were awake and wrestling. The conversation where saying nothing cost you more than speaking would have, and you chose silence anyway. The prayer you kept offering when every surface told you it was not reaching anything, not because it felt like it was working, but because something in you simply could not stop being honest with God, even when it hurt. The 100 small private decisions to hold on when letting go would have been so much easier and so much less lonely. Nobody counted it. Nobody put it in a list. Nobody will ever fully know the exact weight of what that took, but heaven recorded it. The second rare act, you chose love over self-protection. There is a natural instinct that develops in anyone who has been overlooked enough times, who has given enough of themselves in the direction of something that did not return the way they hoped. That instinct is to close, to pull the inner space back, to become more careful about what gets let in, so that the next time the silence stretches too long or the disappointment arrives too easily, it does not reach all the way down to the places that matter most. You had every reason to do that. The length of this season alone would have justified a certain hardening. The weight of it alone would have made pulling back completely understandable. And you stayed open, over and over, in ways you probably did not register as conscious choices. You remained available to the God you were not entirely sure was hearing you. You remained present in a season where disappearing would have made far more sense. You refused to shut down the part of you that still believed, even when belief felt like the most unreasonable thing available to you. That is not weakness. That is one of the rarest forms of strength that exists anywhere, and heaven recorded it. The third rare act, you refused to harden. You passed through a fire that changes most people. Most people come out of a season like yours with something different in their eyes. A certain flatness where the wonder used to be. A measured, careful quality that protects them from ever being fully exposed again. A way of being present that keeps enough distance to stay safe. You came out softer, not naive about what the season cost, not pretending it did not change you, but still capable of genuine grief, still carrying the quality in you that makes other people feel safe, even when you yourself do not. Still refusing, at a level deeper than words, to become someone you would not recognize. You kept yourself, and heaven recorded it. 3 acts, 3 invisible, unrewarded, uncelebrated decisions. And those 3 things, together, are what moved the heart of God into a silence that I can only describe as awe. But now, I need to talk about something that rises in almost every chosen one. At the exact moment, the breakthrough begins to feel real. Because if you do not name this particular obstacle, it will do its work quietly underneath everything, and you will keep pulling back from the very thing you have been waiting for without fully understanding why. There is a voice that says, you are not enough for this. Not that you did something wrong exactly, just that the gap between the promise and the current version of you is too wide for you to credibly stand inside what is coming. That people will see through it. That you will arrive at the threshold and it will fall apart, because whatever this calling requires, you have not quite become it yet. That voice is not wisdom. That voice is fear, dressed in the costume of humility. The real fear that precedes genuine breakthrough is not the fear that you are not enough. It is the fear of the weight that comes with being enough. And those 2 fears are entirely different, because the first one paralyzes and the second one is actually a sign of readiness. If you are afraid of the responsibility, afraid of the visibility, afraid of what it will genuinely cost to carry what is coming, that is not a sign you are too small. That is a sign you finally understand how large this is. You are not afraid because you are unprepared. You are afraid because you are prepared enough to feel the weight of what preparation was for. So, let me say this to you clearly. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that could only survive. You are allowed to outgrow the relationships that only had room for who you used to be. You are allowed to stop explaining yourself to people who are not growing in the direction you are growing. You are allowed to protect what is being built in you, even when that protection looks like distance to the people watching from the outside. You are allowed to arrive at your breakthrough, still in process, still carrying things, still imperfect. And you do not owe anyone an apology for becoming who you were always intended to be. Now, let me tell you what is being reorganized in 3 areas of your life because of what you did. For those who are entering this season, here is what I believe is shifting. In the area of relationships, people who do not have room for the version of you that is emerging will begin to create distance. It will feel like loss at first. You will question whether you pushed them away, whether something in how you have changed is wrong. Do not try to hold what is already completing itself. The exits in this season are not rejections of who you are. They are the movement of a realignment you did not have to engineer. And just when the space feels its loneliest, people will appear who understand your language without needing you to teach it to them first. In the area of purpose, things are becoming clearer than they have been before. The wilderness did not only form your character, it specified your calling. The gaps you notice now that you did not notice before, the needs that pull at your attention when the noise gets quiet, those are not random interests. That is the fingerprint of your assignment. Trust the specificity of what is pulling at your attention right now. It is pointing somewhere real. In the area of provision, what was withheld is beginning to move, not as a reward, because this was never about earning, as alignment. The resources, the connections, the open doors that this season seemed to hold back were not punishment. They were being preserved for the version of you that can actually steward them without being undone by them. That version is who you are right now. Let me place 5 names before you now, not as titles to aspire to, as truths about who the season shaped you into. You are a spiritual warrior. You held the line on the inside when nothing on the outside was cooperating. That was not an accident. That was formation. You are a truth carrier. You could not live inauthentically, even when inauthenticity was the easier, cheaper, safer path. Something in you refused it. That refusal is a calling. You are a wounded healer. The pain you walked through is not just behind you. It is being transformed right now into something that will give other people permission to believe they can make it through what they are inside. You are a seer. The sensitivity you have been treating as a liability, the perception that sometimes feels like too much, that is the gift. And the world needs you to stop apologizing for it. You are a pioneer. You went first, into territory that had no map, into a season that offered no guarantees, into a calling that required you to believe before the evidence arrived. You went first, and someone else is going to find their way because you made the path. If you receive even one of these as true about you today, type "I am" in the comments, not as a performance, as a declaration from the inside out. Because what I want to share with you next is the deepest truth in this entire message. Everything, the wilderness, the science, the 3 acts, the 5 names, all of it was pointing toward one thing. And when you hear it, I believe something in you is going to settle in a way it has not settled in a very long time. Stay with me. Let me bring everything together now. The wilderness formed you. The science explained why this season felt so heavy for someone built the way you are built. The 3 rare acts named what you actually did inside of it. The 5 names revealed who the doing shaped you into. But here is the truth underneath all of it. Here is the real reason heaven went quiet. You proved something, not to God, because God already knew. You proved it to the living record of what is possible. In real time, in real suffering, with real alternatives available to you at every point. You demonstrated that your love for the divine is not conditional on the outcomes, that your faithfulness does not depend on the evidence cooperating, that who you are, at the deepest level, does not shift when the circumstances are specifically designed to shift it. Most people's faith holds when life holds. Most people's openness survives when the returns justify it. Most people can stay themselves when staying themselves is not costing them very much. You stayed yourself when it was costing you everything. That is not just remarkable, that is rare, in a way that language struggles to fully hold. Because what you did, the specific combination of those 3 acts, sustained across the specific weight and length of your particular season, has never existed in quite this form before. Your history is yours. Your pain is yours. And the faithfulness you maintained inside of it is yours alone. This is not a general blessing distributed to everyone who endures. This is a specific recognition of a specific person who did a specific thing that heaven witnessed and will not forget. God is speechless because you proved that love is stronger than evidence. I want to tell you about a man. I will not use his name because the story belongs to him, but I want to share it as a picture of what becomes possible on the other side of what you have been doing. 9 months ago, this man was watching everything he had spent years building begin to come apart. A major professional relationship, one he had invested in deeply and faithfully, collapsed suddenly and completely. No warning, no logical path forward. And what made it most painful was that he had done nothing wrong. He had been consistent. He had been faithful. By every measure he could apply to himself, he had been exactly who he was supposed to be, and it had not protected him from the loss. He made a decision in that moment that I think you need to hear. He decided not to react publicly, not to defend himself, not to explain the situation to the people around him who were watching and waiting to see what he would do. Instead, he went quiet. He practiced something I call the silence protocol. He withdrew from the external noise and went deeper into the internal space. He spent 40 days in that quiet, not doing nothing, but doing the invisible work, clearing what needed to be cleared, aligning with the frequency he knew was his, protecting the place inside him where clarity still lived. On day 38, a company he had never contacted, in an industry he had not been actively pursuing, reached out to him directly. What followed was a professional opportunity more than twice the size of everything he had lost. He had not manufactured that connection. He had not networked his way into it. He had simply created the conditions where what was already his was able to find him. He proved himself in the silence before he promoted himself in the public. And now, I want to say something to you that I believe is being placed on my heart, specifically for where you are standing. I hear the Father saying this to you right now. I saw every moment you thought I was not watching. I was there for every night you held on when releasing would have felt like such a relief. I heard every question you asked me in the dark, even the ones that felt too honest to say out loud, even the ones that carried more doubt than faith in them. And I want you to hear this clearly. What I am releasing over your life right now is not compensation for what you went through. It is confirmation of who you are. You did not earn this by enduring. You revealed yourself through enduring. And what I have been preparing, what I have been preserving through every season that seemed to hold things back, it was never late. It was waiting for you to become exactly who you are, right now. The only thing remaining is for you to receive it. Let me speak these 5 names over you one more time, not as a recap, as a living declaration. You are a spiritual warrior, which means the ground you hold is not held by your circumstances, it is held in you, and nothing that happens outside can take that from you. You are a truth carrier, which means you possess something the world cannot manufacture and cannot copy, because it came from being refined in the place where most people break. You are a wounded healer, which means the very wound the enemy meant to disqualify you with is the credential that will give others permission to believe they can survive what they are currently inside. You are a seer, which means the sensitivity you have been apologizing for is not a flaw to manage. It is a gift to carry, and the world is going to need what you can see. You are a pioneer, which means the path you walked alone in the hard and unmarked places is leaving something real behind it. Someone is going to find their way because you went first. If you are ready to carry these names forward, not just to hear them today, but to actually receive them as true, type "I am ready" in the comments right now. Now let me show you how to live from this, practically, beginning today. The silence protocol is not only for crisis seasons. It is a daily practice that keeps the frequency clear. It comes down to 3 things. The first is to create at least one period each day where the external inputs stop completely. Not a formal practice, just a space where the noise goes off. The second is to ask yourself, in that space, one honest question and allow it to sit without forcing an answer. What do I actually know right now that I have not yet acted on? The third is to hold whatever surfaces without debating it, without explaining it away, and without rushing to make it productive before you have received it. Just let it be known to you. That is the practice. You can begin it today, wherever you are, with whatever amount of time you have. And alongside that, let me give you something to carry forward into every ordinary day. I call it the Identity Anchor Practice. Of the 5 names from this message, choose the one that landed hardest for you. Just one. Once a day, in whatever quiet moment appears, return to it on the inside. Not out loud if that does not feel right. In the interior of your own knowing, say it, hold it, let it do its quiet work in you. Because identity does not become lived reality by being heard once. It becomes lived reality by the patient, consistent, daily practice of claiming it before the external world has caught up to confirm it. In your mind right now, I want you to see yourself standing at a threshold. Not the threshold of what you are leaving, the threshold of what you are entering. And instead of looking at what is behind you, I want you to look at what is ahead. Let yourself, for just a moment, see the version of you who has already walked through it, who is already living from the other side of this season. Look at what that person carries. Look at how they hold themselves. Notice what is different. That person is not a fantasy. That person is you, a few steps further down the path you are already on. Right now, chosen ones all across the world are receiving this same word. People in their own wilderness seasons, carrying their own weight, asking the same questions in the dark that you have been asking. You are not alone in this shift. This is not something isolated happening to one person in one place. This is a movement of people being formed, prepared, and called forward at the same time. If this message found someone you know who has gone unusually quiet recently, someone going through a shift they cannot yet explain, share this with them. Not because they need to hear exactly what you heard, because they might need to know that what they are going through has a name, and they are not as behind as they feel. Before this message ends, I made you a promise at the beginning of this section. I told you I was going to speak something over your life, not around it, not in its general direction. That moment is now. Chosen one, I want to begin with something simple before anything else. Thank you for staying. Not as a courtesy, genuinely, for staying through the parts that were hard to receive, for staying through the invitation to believe something about yourself that the circumstances in your life have not yet confirmed. That took something, and I do not want to move past it without naming it. Now let us go somewhere together. I am grateful, deeply and without performance, for every season that shaped who you are standing as today, for the wilderness that did not break you, for the silence that did not take your voice from you, for the weight that pressed in on every side and could not manage to take your softness, for the fire that burned through so much and still could not touch the wonder in you. Every bit of that cost something real, and every bit of it mattered. Now let me acknowledge something before we go further. Every weight you carried in private, the kind that had no audience and no applause, it was seen. Every question you held in the dark because it felt too honest or too raw or too close to the edge of doubt to say out loud, it was heard. Every morning you chose to get up again, even though nothing visible had changed, that faithfulness was recorded. Not one moment of it went unwitnessed, not one night, not one prayer that felt like it stopped at the ceiling. He sees it, he names it, and today he honors it. Now I want to release, out loud, the things that no longer belong to the version of you that steps forward from this moment. The old story that said you were unseen because you were not enough. Release. The old ceiling that pressed down and said not yet, not you, not this. Release. The wound that formed when someone who was supposed to stay chose to leave instead, and part of you quietly absorbed the conclusion that staying was not something you were worth. Release. The comparison that measured your timeline against other people's timelines that were never designed to match yours. Release. The unworthiness that told you, quietly and persistently, that the good things you were holding out for were for other people and not for someone like you. Release. The bitterness that almost took root. The almost hardness you fought for, that you held back through sheer will when you had every reason to let it win. Release. The version of yourself that had to survive before you could truly live. That person served you faithfully. You can let them rest now. Release. And the need to understand every single step before you are willing to take the next one. Release. Now, let me call forward the full version of who you are. I activate the spiritual warrior in you, the one who held the line on the inside when everything outside was in chaos. I call that strength fully forward. I declare it is no longer dormant. It is active, and it is available to you in every room you walk into from this day forward. I activate the truth carrier. I call forward the part of you that refused to live inauthentically, even when authenticity was costing you something real. I declare that what you carry is not a burden you manage alone. It is an assignment, and the world you are being sent into needs what you have. I activate the wounded healer. I call forward the authority that only comes from having been inside the wound and come out the other side still carrying compassion. I declare that your pain is no longer only your pain. It is becoming medicine for people who have not yet found a way through. I activate the seer. I call forward the perception, the sensitivity, the knowing. I declare that what you have been treating as too much, the things you sense and cannot always explain, is the gift in full operation. Stop managing it, start trusting it. I activate the pioneer. I call forward the courage of the one who goes first. I declare that the path you walked alone is not just for you. Someone is already behind you who will find their way because you did not turn back. I call forward the right connections for this season. The people who speak your language without needing a translation. The doors that have been held for the you that exists right now. The resources that were preserved for a version of you that could steward them without being destroyed by them. And I guard what is being built. I guard it from premature exposure. I guard it from the voices and eyes that would diminish it before it has room to stand. I guard it from the self-sabotage that knows exactly where to apply pressure. What is being built in you is covered. Now, let me speak directly over you. And I want you to receive this as the truest thing being said to you today. I hear the Father declaring over you in this moment. You are not who the silence told you you were. You are not who the waiting made you doubt in the quiet hours. You are not the smaller version of yourself that this season tried to convince you was all that was left. You are the one I paused for. You are the one heaven witnessed. You are the one I formed in the place where no one else could see, precisely because what I was building required the kind of quiet that public seasons cannot hold. And what I have been preparing for you has been held in trust, preserved through every season that looked like nothing was happening, waiting for this exact moment, not the moment when the circumstances changed. The moment when you became who you are right now, that moment is today. That moment is this. You are commissioned. You are covered. You are sent. If you receive this today, type "It is done" in the comments. Not because the words carry power on their own, because something in you is choosing, right now, to stop waiting for circumstances to confirm what has already been declared. Now, before I seal this, I want to ask you to do one thing. Do not move on yet. Sit in this for just a moment. Let what was just spoken settle into the places where the doubt used to live. Into the places where the voice that said "not you" used to find quiet agreement from somewhere deep inside you. Let this settle there instead. Let it reach the parts that are still deciding whether to believe it. Not because you earned it, not because this season was a test you passed with a perfect score, because it is true, because it is who you are, and because you are finally, after everything this cost you, ready to receive it as something real that belongs to you. It is done. It is sealed. We receive it. And so it is. Amen.